Welcome to the Know Your Legacy podcast, guys. This week's episode features John Magee. He's the founder of a community called Kindness Matters, which seeks to share the message of spreading kindness throughout the world. He's got a great community built on Instagram, so you can find him there. He's also an author of a book called Kindness Matters, and he now speaks at schools and corporate events to spread the message there too. John, thank you so much for being here today.
Brother, the honour is all mine, and I just want to say thank you for your kindness. So, yeah, the honour is all mine, because it's an honour to be able to speak to a like-minded individual like yourself, who's making a difference in a lot of people's lives and has a very, very, very strong message to send out to the world. So, I'm honoured, brother. I'm honoured to be speaking.
Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that. So we've been speaking for a little while now, and I've been excited to get you on because I want to dig deeper a little bit behind the scenes as to what got you started. So what was it that actually catapulted you into starting a community like this? Because from what I understand, your life wasn't always the way it is today.
No, people always find this very hard to accept, because people see me as like this happy-go-lucky person, you know, a guy that talks about kindness and does it with a sense of humour. But yeah, life was very different for me growing up as a young male. I'm an Irish immigrant. Me and all my family came here for work. And so when I do my keynotes under my pseudonym, which is Mr. Consequence, that's the street name I gave myself to get through to young people, talking about every action as a consequence, is I just talk about growing up on a council estate, so which is known as a ghetto in the States. You know, high levels of social deprivation, high levels of crime, gangs, drugs. That was just how I was brought up. And then I just talk about the impact it had on me when my mum and dad split up. You know, so we experienced what is commonly known as domestic violence. Dad wasn't a bad guy, but when he got drunk, he could be very violent. So then I talk about when mum and dad split up, getting involved in crime and drugs, and just everybody I knew was a criminal really when I was a kid. Most people, you know, don't get me wrong, my mum and my stepdad went to work, but it's what we was up to, you know. And so yeah, that was like nearly 30 years of my life. And then just a big change happened in my life. I got off the estate, I got an education. I was looking at going to jail for 3 years. And then it was just an act of kindness that happened, which I talk about in my book, which I got a job, a legit job. I didn't want to go to jail. I met a lovely girl. We had our first child, and she just said, "Look, John, you're going to have to get a job." And I was like, I was at a crossroads in my life. I knew I wasn't this really bad guy. I was just adapting to an environment, and I'm not making excuses. But I'd had so many friends, you know, getting into heroin and crack cocaine. And I'm ashamed to say I've took every drug apart from heroin. And the only reason I never took heroin is because it killed so many of my friends. But yeah, a Christian family reached out to me on the estate, and some youth workers, and they started like mentoring me, saying, "Look, you know, just because you haven't got an education, you've got a criminal record, that's not the end of the road." You know, I think Gwilym said to me, the youth worker, he said that old saying, "Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right." And because I kept saying, I can't get on a course at college. I'm from this community. Everybody knows this postcode. It's got that stereotype as a no-go area. You know, the police are always up there. Everybody's gang members, drug dealers. It had that stereotype. But I didn't trust a lot of people back then. And I stepped out in faith. I went to college. I wasn't squeaky clean. But then the road started then, and I started doing lots of charity work, and it made me feel good. And I was just desperate to feel good because I've been homeless for 2 years, me and my mum, over 2 years. I was strung out on drugs. I was selling drugs. I was going to raves and partying. My mental health was all over. It was shot at. And it started me on the path to fundraising. I started to realise that my actions was having positive consequences. So this is what I share with kids. And then what happened with that was my friend's sister got terminal cancer. And I just asked him, could I help? And it was along this journey I met a professional footballer called David Dunn, who played for Blackburn Rovers Football Club. He was the next big thing. And I just phoned him up and asked him to see if he'd help me out. We'd do a fundraiser. And it was his one act of kindness back in 2001, nearly 17 years ago, that not only changed my life, but changed hundreds of thousands of people's life. Because now, 17 years later, we ended up forming a social enterprise called Streets, which is sports to radically educate everyone to succeed, working with hard to reach kids. And it was whilst writing this program, which is now nationally accredited, I wrote a lesson plan called Random Acts of Kindness. And I went different parts of East Lancashire. So I went to like Blackpool, Preston, Blackburn, Accrington, Burnley. I worked with some of the toughest communities, people from them communities. And what I did is I just got them to go out under 30 days around the acts of kindness. And it was while seeing this behaviour change, don't get me wrong, they didn't turn into angels, is I stumbled across a global movement, which then became Kindness Matters, because I started to write a book. Because I was writing my autobiography. I'd been offered a book deal. And my ghostwriter said, no, you need to write about this dialogue, John, what you're doing about working with these families in these communities. And this is how Kindness Matters was born. It was originally started off as Random Acts of Kindness. So then I started to look at the psychology around behaviour and habits and, you know, how to reprogram, you know, any, you know, really conditioned thoughts. And then just miracles started to happen and remarkable, incredible things started to happen, and seeing massive change in people. So then that's where the 30-day challenge come from. And that's how it all started.
That's an amazing story. And it seems like you went through a bit of a messy journey just to get to where you are now. But I guess that's how life works, doesn't it? You start off in a really messy place and then you have to end up finding yourself. It's just the game of unraveling everything that's going on in front of you, all the violence, as you were saying, the drugs, and it's just the messiness of your mental state. And unraveling that, you find, you know, Kindness Matters is hidden behind all of that. But you have to be willing to look for it, you know. You had that hand reached out by the mentors that you had to help you out, to actually get you on the right path. And that started off in a journey for you to eventually start mentoring other people like you're doing now. So talk to me a little bit about the 30-day challenge. I mean, how does that work? What is it exactly?
Well, that's a really good question, because it was only yesterday. I've only had 5 hours sleep, by the way. I've been so busy. And I didn't get in till late last night. And my girlfriend's been really poorly. She's got something called pleurisy. I've been taking care of her. It was late night last night. But I'd found an hour when I was traveling just to pull up and go onto the MacBook, because I'm going to be speaking in a lot of organizations throughout this year and even going to the States. And I thought, right, after I've done my keynote, I really need to get this message across that what is a kindness ambassador? So my whole outcome for our planet, to make our planet a better world, is to create kindness ambassadors. So then I started like analysing myself, thinking about, well, what is a kindness ambassador? Obviously, I talk about it in the book, but I thought, given the opportunity to talk to a number of hundreds of people, to break that down. So I went into like an NLP format, you know, so the why, the what, the how, the what if, what next. So then I started thinking about us talking, and I thought, so I visualised. So then let's just start with the why. So why become a kindness ambassador? Well, for me, as human beings, all performance in life is state dependent. So what's state dependent? Well, your state of mind. If you have a positive state of mind, think about your behaviour. Think about your behaviour. So as we all know, we're totally responsible, 100% responsible for our own behaviour. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. It's all in your head. It's all in your head, dude. So that sounds easier than what it is. But once we start to like become aware of how we operate in the world, we start to work inside, not outside, inside out. So we start to go, you know, the old happiness is an inside job. So we start to like go on the inside and like starting to understand how we tick and how we function to external stimuli. Then I thought, right, so if I can help people feel better, yeah, so they're in a better state of mind, well, that's good for their mental health. It's good for others. And more importantly, it's good for the planet, yeah? So then I thought, well, how can I strip that down? So I did lots of research, you know, one of the late greats, Dr. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Love Dr. Stephen Covey, you know, miss him so much, love his legacy, love what he's left behind. That's my mission, to leave something behind for the future generations. That's my whole goal in life. Not money, it's a byproduct. Not cars, not big houses, is to leave something behind for the future generations, for the kids, the families, so that when John Magee dies one day, which is inevitable, it's going to happen to us all, is to leave something behind for the future generation. That's what drives my behaviour. That's what gets me out of bed when I've had 5 hours skip in the morning, knowing that I have a purpose. Okay. So that makes me feel good. So with a kindness ambassador, let's get back to the kindness ambassador, it's an individual that first of all has to believe in kindness. You have to believe in kindness. You have to believe kindness for yourself, self-care, taking care of yourself. And you have to believe about your choices and your actions to others. You know, little simple things like, you know, that even if it's just opening up a door or paying a compliment, you know that there's consequences from those actions, positive consequences, yeah? So then what we have to break down with a kindness ambassador, which is what I talk about in Kindness Matters, and I'm not plugging my book to anybody because the book does what it says on the tin. It tells you that kindness matters. Is that you and I both know this, Vipul, because we're very like-minded individuals, because obviously you're on your legacy path, I'm on mine, and we have these global collective of people of your interviewing who know their legacy, they know they have a purpose, you know, and they've made the choice now, they've set the intention, they've made a decision, and they're on the path now, and there's nothing stopping them, and they're prepared to take a few knocks to get on the way. So what I say is this: to become a kindness ambassador, you've got to be clear about two things, is the power of decision making. So the word decision, as Tony Robbins talks about, comes from the Italian word scission, to cut. So you make a decision. This is what I'm doing. Yeah, you cut away the crap, bang, this is what's going on. And then we set an intention. So what I talk about in the 30-day challenge is how you consciously, when we consciously make a decision, we shape our world. Everything is created out of nothing. All that we are is our thoughts, as the Buddha said. All that we are is our thoughts. And as we all know, the law of attraction, thoughts become. This was a thought once, these glasses. This hoodie was a thought. Someone was thinking and they designed it. It's created out of nothing. And I feel like shaking people sometimes, thinking if you could only understand that when you think something and then you decide what you're going to put into action and you set your intention, you create something out of nothing. So in the Bible, it talks about we was made in God's image. Well, God created everything out of nothing, whether you believe in God or not. Everything's created out of nothing. And we're no different. We are no different as human beings. So what I get across to the reader is when you start to think this way, that you realize that you create things out of nothing and you make a decision on what act of kindness you're going to do each day and you set your intention. So in the book, there's hundreds and hundreds of things that you decide to do. So the acronym I have in the book is DAILY, which is D for decision making, A for taking action, I for inspiration, L for learning, and Y for saying yes more. So what happens is that the kindness ambassador plans the random act of kindness for the next day. So they've set it, and then they're open to the possibilities of any random acts of kindness that are presented to them during the day. And then what I'm doing is I'm creating unconscious patterns of behavior. Just like me blinking, I don't think I've got to blink. I don't think I've got to breathe. You know, if I scratch my head, I don't say I must scratch I don't say consciously. It's an unconscious pattern. So what happens is when we do an unconscious pattern, which I say, look, just do it for a month. You know, there's scientists that say it takes 66 days to form a new habit. It takes 21 days. Listen, dude, listen, keep it simple. Kiss, yeah? Just do something for a month. If you want to lose some weight, go to gym for a month and watch your nutrition. Just do it for a month. Keep it simple. So by creating conscious patterns of behavior, whether it's I'm going to open up a door. Every time, tomorrow, I'm going to open up as many doors as possible. And I'm not going to expect anything back. I'm just going to do it because I want to become a kindness ambassador. I want to put more kindness into the world. So by doing this, before you know it, at the end of the month, you'll start opening up doors and not even thinking about it because it becomes an unconscious pattern. It's how the brain works. Yeah. Or I'm going to pick up a piece of litter every day for 30 days that I didn't drop. Now, don't get me wrong. You're not going to be going around cleaning the streets of London or Manchester because some people think your big spring's gone. But you make a conscious effort. If it's in front of you, pick it up and you put it in the nearest bin. And here's the thing, you don't know who you're going to inspire because they're going to see you picking up a piece of litter that you didn't drop. And they're going to be thinking, why did that dude do that? He didn't need to do that. Yeah. And this is the thing, because it's monkey see, monkey do. We also inspire other people sometimes when we don't even realize. So this is what I talk about in the 30-day challenge, is that we consciously make this decision. But the mantra, which I tell everybody to live by, is my own personal mantra, which is a greeting, a gesture, or a giggle, leave other people feeling better than before they met you. Just imagine, Vipul, right, if every single human being got up every morning and did that as like a bit of a prayer or a mantra, saying, look, today, no matter who I meet, I'm gonna do a really nice greeting. I'm just gonna say, how we doing, dude? You all right, man? Even if you don't, especially if you don't know them, but you don't put any meaning back to them. If they frown at you and go, what's that dude on about? You don't say, hey, what you looking at me like? I thought I'd be nice to you, man. I'm being kind. You don't put any meaning to it, yeah? So you just give these people that, and especially you live in the city in London, right? So we know how busy it is on the tube, yeah? I love going to London because no one's got the time of day for anybody. Most people are like, random acts of kindness, dude, I've got to get to this meeting. You know, John, you pick up the later, man. It's not my but for me, I see that as an opportunity to get on the tube and go, and just smile. And you might get people going, did he just smile at me? That guy with that skinhead and them glasses, is he like a criminal? Is he just come out of the army? Whatever their perception is of me. But dude, we both know, don't we? As Gandhi, the late Gandhi great, said, you know, be the change, man. So be the kindness you want to see, man. Listen, kindness is the silver bullet. You keep being kind to people. Listen, even if someone's horrible to you, man, just kill them with kindness. Just go, okay, sorry. That's it, man. And by doing this, what happens is, Vipul, this is the cherry on the cake. You ready? By applying this mantra, a greeting, a gesture, or a giggle, leaving other people feeling better than before they met you, and especially with people we don't know, so people in the community, is this. Not only does it leave a positive impression on them, on you as a human being, is it also does something massive for us as an individual. It creates healing in the body. And that healing is from a chemical called oxytocin. Now, people talk about, they think they know about, they've heard the word, but listen, man, if anybody's watching this, do your research on this chemical within the body. This chemical in the body is the silver bullet for so much disease in the body. So when you've got stress in your life, anger, you might have depression, you might have low self-esteem, you might have just a bit of mental health stuff going on. So we all have stuff. The research goes to show that when we practice kindness and we are kind to others, it releases oxytocin in our body, which eradicates all that negative disease, and it increases confidence, self-belief, motivation, more kindness, more happiness. And here's the thing, that's just what it's doing for you, man. Your body naturally knows how to release this chemical. And here's the thing, there's been research even done that it makes us live longer. Now, I don't know about you, dude, but I won't mind having some good innings on this planet whilst I'm on the road with my purpose. You know, it gives me a bit more time to just pack a bit more away for the future generations. I mean, you don't see many Buddhists dying at 40 and 50. They tend to get good innings, them Buddhists. You know why? Because they practice metta bhavana, which is the loving kindness meditation. When them dudes are quiet, they're sending you a nice prayer. They're saying, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. You know, when you say that Dalai Lama dude and he's quiet, he's sending you that love, dude. That's what he's saying internally. How beautiful is that? Imagine what that's doing for his oxytocin in his body as he's giving you that love, as he's sending you that energy. Just imagine. I do it every day. When you start talking in a minute, guess what I'll be doing? I'll be saying to you, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. I'll be saying that to you. And every social interaction, because I know everything's energy. I am giving you my unconditional love, my energy. So that's it.
It's powerful. I think that the whole 30-day challenge is a powerful idea, because it definitely does take a month just to get into the swing of things and get into the habit of something. And rewiring the brain for something like that, as you said, can only give you healing. And I can give you an example of something that I did actually. And I wasn't even thinking about random acts of kindness. I was just doing it because I felt the need to do it. So I was sitting on the tube in London, as you said, you know, it's so busy that people don't even have time to look at you. So this guy, he was reading an interesting book about birds, literally like every single bird. And then they had like a summary of what the bird was. And it looked like it was going back in time to show you like the earliest birds that were on this planet, and then down to the modern birds. But it wasn't written in English. So I was just looking over, I glanced and I thought, shall I speak to him? Shall I not? I felt a little bit of fear. And I've trained myself. Every time I feel that little bit of fear, I have to do it. I have to push myself straight into it, because then it pushes that mental barrier of being able to do something bigger and better the next time. So I thought, right, I'm going to speak to him. He's a stranger. I don't know him. He's got a suitcase. He must be going on holiday or traveling, but he may not be here in this country ever again. I doubt I'm going to see this guy. So I just said, hey, what's that book about? It looks quite interesting. Has that got every book in the world? And then he just turned to me. For a second, he was surprised. And then he had this massive smile, and then he went into it. He turned his body around, and he just got passionate about talking about it. It's like, yeah, this company has hired me to translate this book from English to Arabic, so I'm doing that for them. You know, I come from Syria, so I'm just visiting on a conference in London. So we just got talking, and people looking at us like, did he just start a conversation with a stranger? And I was like, yeah. And it made me feel good, and I could tell that, you know, he'd now gone away happy. He got off at the next stop, so I'm glad I got the conversation in. But I felt happy that I spoke to someone that I'd never see again, and he felt happy that you know, someone actually took interest in his work. Because at the end of the day, we all care about ourselves in the nicest way possible. If I start talking about you know, you're going to be more engaged in the conversation. And so he, you know, you don't know what he's going through. He could be going through depression. He could be going through stresses in his life. And then he sees this stranger that stepped in and said, oh, you know, your work looks interesting. Then he might go away thinking, actually, you know, I feel good about myself. My work is important. You know, what I'm doing is actually interesting to other people. And that sets him off in a different path for the rest of the day. I don't know what it's done, but, you know, it leaves both people in a more positive situation. So I think it's amazing that you're passing out that message. So what are you doing now with schools and sort of corporate events? Where is that message going? Because obviously what you've said, the 30-day challenge, that's in the book. That's something you're sharing with the community. But how are you working one-to-one with kids? And then how do you take that message globally to a bigger organization?
Right, well, that's a very good question. And you're the first person I've shared on this interview. And I wanted it to be with you because obviously your values align perfectly with mine. When we spoke a month or two ago, and we were talking about different key influencers from around the world, so people I've met who I've never met personally, that I said I wanted to introduce you to for your show, who are, you know, within their field, have tapped into their legacy, is that was one of the main things that aligned with my values. So for me, where I'm currently at the moment, and I am happy to share this with you, because that's why I'm panning it out a little bit now, is there's only one other person knows. Well, it's in the book anyway. It's at the back of the book, but it's come round so quick. So there was, I don't know how many elements. Let's weigh up the elements to the global movement. So we got the Kindness Matters trademark. We're number one now for Kindness Matters. The number thing I wanted to concentrate on social media was when I spoke to Nathan Chan from Instagram Domination. You know, Nathan taught me about, you know, it's not all about like having 500,000 followers. Like there's nothing wrong with that, or 1 million followers, but a colleague of Nathan's, who's a friend of mine now, called Dan Norris from Australia. Dan sent me a lovely message. Dan's a very busy guy. And he just said, look, John, focus on quality rather than quantity. So I stripped it all back about 18 months ago, and we focused on organic growth, whether it was on any social platform, organic growth, creating a community of people. I'd rather have 18,000 people all talking in a community than 180,000 and 3 people are talking with 10 likes. You know, I wanted it to be a really good, and we've got that now. We've got that. So we've got that community, you know, bobbing along. The next part of the vision was to create celebrity ambassadors. So I got Carl Fogarty, 4 times world superbike champion, was on the BBC together. Carl's become the first celebrity ambassador. So what I'm looking to do is to put it back onto people at the top, whether it's Ed Sheeran, Lady Gaga, these people who influence kids. And I want them there with the book saying, I've done the 30-day challenge. I love it. This is what I've learned from it. This is how it's helped me, and this is how it can help you. No money, no agent, and I will be quite strict who I'm choosing. So I've had quite a bit of good news over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Are you ready for it? I've been contacted when I got back from Brazil on, what day did I get back? Was it Sunday night? Check this out, dude. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but an agent has contacted me with an A-list celebrity who's asked, can he have a Skype call with me? He's been in Independence Day, Planet of the Apes, loads of them. They sent me a bank of them. I'm going, I know that movie. I've not watched it, but I've heard of it. And this guy has contacted me. So it's starting now, where your Lady Gagas, your Ellen DeGenereses from America are going to say, what do I have to do to become a kindness ambassador? And for me, I think that's such a powerful message to kids and to families, to have these influencers saying, look, I believe in kindness. I love what John's done, what John's put together, and I want to be part of it. So that was one of the key elements, and that's now starting its own traction. So please, anybody watching this, if you've got any celebrities that you think will be good kindness ambassadors, get them to go to kindnessmatters.co.uk and send an inquiry. The next one was is I wasn't going to do this till 2020. I've actually started the ball because, as you are aware, my hometown of Blackburn has become the first kindness community in the United Kingdom. Myself and Carl Fogarty are both from Blackburn. I'm going to be quite biased. I think the people of Blackburn, my hometown, are very grounded people. We have a very diverse community, and we have good relations with the Asian community and the Muslim community and interfaith. And we're at the forefront with kindness, teaching kids about, you know, respecting each other's culture, religion, colour of skin, you name it, to work hard collectively. Not allowed in the media to say everybody's a suicide bomber or atheists are going to hell. We're all human beings, man. Let's work collectively together. And let's focus on kindness because it brings us together. So Blackburn has become the first kindness community, Blackburn with Darwin. But in order for other communities to want to become kindness communities, whether it's Manchester, London, Bradford, Leeds, wherever, is to find a celebrity from that area that the community respect. So when I set up streets, I always ask the community, right, who's the footballer? When me and David done set up streets, we said to the community, so Blackpool, I said, who do you want to be the kindness ambassador? Brett Ormrod. We want Brett. He helped us get into the Premier League. So I got hold of Brett. I got to him. Brett, would you be a kindness ambassador? Would you be an ambassador for streets? So I use the same model for Kindness Matters because nobody knows the community better than the people that live in it. So let them make the decision. Yeah, which celebrity. So I'm speaking to Lucy Fallon at the moment in Blackpool. I'm currently working in Blackpool today. Lucy Fallon's on Coronation Street. She's very well guarded. I didn't want my agent talking to her agent, so I want to speak to Lucy personally like I'm speaking to you now. Let's cut the BS. Let's just go and have a brew and a biscuit. And let's talk about kindness and how we're going to help the community, yeah? Not how much is your agent getting, how much is my agent getting. No, let's keep it simple. Let's talk what we're going to do for the people. So that's that one. The last element to create the global movement is I want an official month. Like, you know, like we have, Sober October, Dry January, Movember. Well, the original month I had in mind in 2015 when I started writing the book, 2012, sorry, was April. I was going to go for April. So 30 days in April. So every day that would be the official month. So like a countdown. So the whole of the UK will be saying, oh, you're doing the 30-day Kindness Matters challenge. You're doing challenge. Well, what is it? Oh, you've got to look for opportunities. You can even download it for free. So you don't have to buy the book unless you want to. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So we originally went with April, then we thought there were too many religious holidays. So we wanted to avoid it. So I've moved it now to September. So I wanted before 2020, and it's going to kick off in 2020 nationally, to have an official month in the United Kingdom and for us to show America, the USA, Europe, the rest of the world to follow us. We'll have a bank of celebrity ambassadors on the website saying, look, do the challenge. It works, this stuff, man. It's making a kinder planet. It's helping with people's attitudes towards each other. It's helping us understand that we are all one. You know, and whether we are Christian, Muslim, Jew, atheist, whatever, we're all one. And kindness really does matter, man. It really does. So the council has already asked me and said, look, John, can we kick this off next September? So they want me to start talking in the summer to make Blackburn with Darwin next September ready. Advertise, national press, TV, and then what that's going to allow me to do then is to kick the first domino to then go to Parliament and say, right, is it the Prime Minister? Who do I need to speak to make this national? So as that goes national, then what will happen is we'll create Kindness Academy schools. So schools will get whole year groups of kids doing the Kindness Academies, and then we have kindness corporations where staff at work do the 30-day challenge, and that's Kindness Matters. That's the vision.
It's a big vision, and it's basically, you know, what you were saying about how initially your plan was to kick it off in 2020. Isn't it funny how it's happened so soon just because you've set the intention? And I found that to be the case in my life, and I've been told by other people who've mentored me that the same thing's happened for them. They've set a 10-year vision, but then it's happened to them in 5 or 4. And the thing is, you'll get to that end destination, but there's so many different ways you can get there that you just need to be open to the path, because I'm sure you didn't think the council would approach you this soon. So talk to me a little bit about, you know, setting your intentions. How did you set that intention? Because there's so many people right now that want to set goals or set visions, but they're not really sure how to, and they're sort of sitting on the fence, you know, like maybe I do want to do this, or maybe I don't, or maybe I want to do this, but then tomorrow I want to do that. what was the process for you? Because it seems like the ball is really picking up now. You're building momentum, as you were saying, between schools and the council, and then eventually going national and global. Where did it all start for you, and what was the intentional process?
Well, I think I've always had it. I think every human being has it. It's within us all. This potential's within us all. Because it's as simple as breathing. Breath is life. Yeah, breath is life. No breath, no life. And there's nothing more certain. When you're born, you take your first breath. When you die, you take your last. That's it. So everything in life is the breath. So I've been fortunate enough in my life. I've done a lot of martial arts. And when I got to my black belt and my black belt first dan, second dan, we learn a lot about Zen, so the breath. So I do a lot of meditation, and I'm willing to share with your community my model. So in NLP, we talk about modeling what works. They call it the 20-80 rule. So Tony Robbins will tell you, and I'm an NLP trainer, the 20% that give you the 80% results. So everybody else is naturally good at something. It's what your natural ability. But when somebody asks you how you do that, you say, I don't know, just do it. But you can model that. If you're around them long enough, you can sort of like monkey see, monkey do. You can copy it. You'll never be them, but you can get good at it. It's how we learn, isn't it? Think of football training, boxing, any sport. We learn off each other, don't we? We get the 20%. We'll never might be as good as them, but we can get close. So, the 20-80 rule about, just being the best. I've lost my train of thought. What was you asking with the question? The 20-80?
It was in relation to setting your intention, what the process was for you.
Yeah, sorry, someone distracted me. So modeling my process is every morning I tend to get up at 5 o'clock. I do 2 hours with my practice because I'm greedy. My new routine that I'm starting next week is I'm getting up at 4. I need 2 hours in the morning because I'm just about to start my new book. And I think the best way, without you making it too complicated, is I do my meditations, I do my prayers, I do my affirmations, I do my visualizations, I do my yoga. I split my exercise days. So one day yoga, one day physical, like the Leaning 15 Joe Wicks. Joe's a good friend of mine, that sort of stuff. But the key to it all, are you ready for this, guys? Is silence. You need stillness. Unless you find stillness, it's very hard to get to it's what they call in Zen Buddhism the still point. So until you can get into the breath, so I would say to anybody, starting with the stillness. So start really small. So start with maybe 10 minutes meditation in the morning, just working on the breath. So in Zen, the basic way, or in Buddhism, is counting from 1 to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you lose the number, just go back to 1. Put your timer. There's a good timer you can get on your iPhone. It's called Insight Timer. You can have all these timers, get them, these apps, which are free, and just get into the breath. Because until we get stillness in the breath, it can't come up. The bubbles can't come up. And that's where it comes from, is finding stillness. Because if you've got such a busy life, it's very hard to get into your creative thought patterns. And once we get into that stillness, I believe that's where the creativity comes. Now, I've got my own way of doing that, and how I get my vision and my ideas, but I need the silence. If I've not got the silence, so I have a dedicated area. Don't get me wrong, if I'm traveling, so I was in Brazil last week, I was in Portugal, I have to set up like my area. It has to be right, to just get in that zone, but I need the silence. I need to be with the breath. And I would strongly advise the book to get, which will help you achieve this, is by my good friend, Hal Elrod, who's the founder of The Miracle Morning. He endorsed my book. I've never met the guy personally. I spoke to his agent last week, because I'm going to be speaking in the States at the end of this year. His book, The Miracle Morning, talks about doing a 30-day challenge, which is about, he calls it the lifesavers. So what is a miracle morning? It's basically you get up an hour or two before you normally get up in the morning. It's about having your own time. And he shows you all the people in history, like Churchill and all these type of people, that all got up really early and they only had like 5-6 hours sleep. But it's their productivity, how they achieved, and they were so driven, to achieve their legacy. So the lifesavers are, the acronym is, for savers, is silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing or journaling. And you can do them anywhere, and you just carve up that time the best you can. And although normally do this unconsciously. I do the miracle morning now, thanks to Hal. I do my way of it, but I have 2 hours of it because I'm greedy. So yeah, I would advise that book. It's a very good book what Hal's put together there.
I've definitely, yeah, I've read that book myself, and I think it's very important to have a morning that's very productive for yourself, because then it sets the tone for the day, doesn't it? Because if you wake up really rushed, because this has happened to me a few times as well, you wake up really rushed and then you just go from action to action to action. You don't really have time to sit and think and gather your thoughts and gather your energy. Most importantly, gathering your energy first thing in the morning, so that you can actually spread that across to different people, depending on what you've set your intentions for the day. So I completely agree with you. Silence is where it's at. And I think when I was building my community, and I still do this now from time to time, it takes a lot of time at the start to take time out to do self-reflection, to understand who you are, where you're going, and what you actually want out of what you're doing. And that honestly just comes from, it sometimes can be painful, but it just comes from sitting and self-reflecting. And for me, what works is 2 things. Is journaling and writing. So I have a Word document up, or I have paper and pen, and I'll just write my thoughts out for as long as I feel I need to get it all out. And then that's how clarity begins to come to fruition. Or as weird as it sounds, talking to yourself. You just talk your thoughts out. You just talk about what's going on in your mind, get that clutter out, and then you realize, oh, actually, this is what I'm thinking. I didn't realize that until I said it out loud. So no, it's I encourage anyone to definitely have their own plan in the morning. So before I get into my final questions, I wanted to just ask you one thing about purpose, because this is something that I'm passionate about, is helping people find their legacy. It seems like you've found the message for you. So to someone who is struggling to find their passion or that purpose, you know what you were saying about only sleeping 4 or 5 hours and still wanting to get out of bed. And I feel that way too. But there are so many people that haven't found that spark or that thing that wakes them up in the morning. What would you say to those individuals? Because you're working with a lot of school children now who are in that position. But then what would you say to people who are not only that age, but years older than that as well?
I think it's about sandwiching what you've just said there. So it's what I said before, what you said, and bringing it together. And the only way you're going to find it is in silence. Is to find that quiet time to sit. And when we do this, this is what I forgot to mention before, is you are practicing self-loving kindness for yourself. So you're being kind to yourself. You're giving yourself permission, to take care of yourself. So it's self-care, it's the old oxygen mask on your face. It's giving yourself that time just to be still, collect your thoughts, and then ask yourself, say to yourself, affirm to yourself whether you believe in God or not, or if you believe in a higher power, or, the universe, the law of attraction, or you believe in nothing. Well, believe in yourself. Just say to yourself, what's my purpose? Show me my path. Ask yourself, when you say this to yourself, you affirm it to you. If you say this to yourself, taking God or the higher power out of it, just affirm to yourself, just say, please, in the right time, just make it clear to me what is my path. Just affirm this to yourself. And it'll be made clear, because at the end of the day, we all understand ourselves. And at the end of the day, anybody that's watching this might be a bit unclear about their purpose or their path. Well, just ask yourself one question. What motivates you? What motivates you? What makes you feel really happy and you're doing it and it's like time just goes and you think, man, I love doing this. What? The time's just gone like that. It's gone. Do you have to, you might have one of them jobs that you might not like, but then you just think, after work, I'm doing this though. I'm doing this, and then that is when your performance, your state dependent changes, because when you're doing this, it just feels so natural. It's effortless. It's effortless. And that's your purpose. That's what, in essence, what is your purpose? And we all have it. I'll tell you a really quick story. Have you heard just really quickly, the one about is it the littlest God? The story about the littlest God?
No, I haven't heard that, I have to say.
So I think we'll just tell this story really quickly, and because it's a good, powerful story. I'll give you my version of it. So basically, before Earth was created, Earth had just been created, and all the gods was there with the big man. So God said, right, I'm going to create these human beings, and these human beings are going to be such amazing creatures. They're going to have so much purpose, so much drive, so much determination. They're just going to be amazing things, but they won't give up. They're resilient. If they want something, they won't give up, and they'll create it. He said, but I don't want them to know this secret to life, so I need to find somewhere to hide it. So he gave them all 7 days to go and find somewhere to hide the secret of life. So these gods went off to hide it. So they flew to Earth, And they started talking, saying, right, where can we hide this secret of life so these humans can't find out what it is? So one God said, I know what we'll do. We'll go to the highest mountain. We'll drill in the top. We'll go down as low as possible and we'll stash it. We'll hide it right at the bottom, this secret to life. They went, oh, one of God's went, that's a top idea. Yeah, let's do that, man. That's sweet. So they were about to do it. And then one of God's went, hold on a minute, pal. If these human beings have got full of determination, better than us, and they've got resilience, they'll climb that mountain. They'll get down that. They'll that's not good enough, dude. So I went, one of God's went, oh, you're right. So then one of God said, but there's deep oceans in this earth. What about if we go really deep into the ocean, as deep as we can go? We drill even into the ocean and we go as deep as we can. And they went, yeah, it's deeper than iron them up. We'll do that. So they're just about to go. And one of God's went, listen, pal, if they're that determined and they won't give up and they've got that much resilience and they believe in themselves, they'll build something. They'll build a submarine. And they'll go to the bottom and they'll find the set. Anyway, they've run out of time. Next thing you know, the big fella says, right, guys, we need to sort this secret of life out. And then all of a sudden, the littlest God, this little God, said, excuse me, I've got an idea where we could hide the secret of life for these humans. And they all went, okay then. They all looked at this little God and said, well, where could we hide it? And the littlest God said, why don't we hide it inside the human beings? And then they'll have to find it themselves. And that's the story of the littlest God.
That's a powerful, powerful story. Yeah, when you started telling it, I could kind of tell where it was going to go. But I was just waiting for you to say it, because when people hear that, you know, it's just really, it's going to be that light bulb moment, literally. You know, it's so true though. It's so true. It just ties into that, to the whole point about being silent, and then eventually let the bubbles rise up. You know, stop the activity, stop the fast-paced movement, and just sit for a few minutes or a few hours, whatever it takes every day, and then allow it to arise and be self-aware. I think that's the main message from this, is being self-aware, because it's already within you. You just need to take the time and effort to actually find out what it is that's inside you.
Yeah, that's so true, man. It's every single human is naturally good at this. It's the same with our fingerprints and our thumbprint. We've only got one thumbprint, fingerprints. We're all totally unique, and we all have a unique talent within us all. And the sad thing is, we get so conditioned by how we should be or who we should be like, when really the answers are all inside. And the only way we can find them answers is being silent, going inside, going right deep as we can, and just ask and you will receive. As I think it said in the Bible, does it knock and the door shall be opened, you know? Yes,
definitely. And just quickly before I get into the last three questions, that's something I'm passionate about. You know, I don't want the richest place on the planet to be the graveyard. When I heard that saying, I was like, well, why? You know, there's so many people that die without realizing what those bubbles are inside them. And for me, I call it your inner legend. You can call it whatever you want, but that's your inner legend. You need to bring it out and find out what it is that you've been gifted with, or the talent that you've been given. So yeah, I just don't want people to die without realizing what it is.
Let me tell you one quick story, because you've just said that there, and you've just brought in my spiritual mentor, my late great friend and mentor, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I read the Tao Te Ching daily. Change your thoughts, change your life. What an amazing book. You know, the wisdom from Lao Tzu, you know, amazing book. And he says, watch his interview on YouTube called The Shift. It's fascinating. And he talks about how he had his shift. You know, so when he was younger, he was chasing the money, you know, wanted to be successful, wanted the big house. And then he had the shift where he wanted to help humanity. And he said he read a book by, it'll come to me in a minute. Ivan, not Ivanovich. Ivan Ivanovich. Anyway, the story's about the death of, I've gone blank, it'll come to me. The death of Ivan. Anyway, and the story is about this. It's about a famous solicitor, and he had the dream, he had the job, he had the life, but he wasn't happy with it all. And basically the story, which I will get to you to put on your feed, is about he got really poorly, he had the wife, he had the career, lots of money, and then he's on his deathbed, and his wife comes in to see him. And it's not looking good, he's going to die. And he looks and he turns up to his wife, and he knows he's dying. And he looks to his wife and he just says to her, what if I've been living my life as a lie? And then he died. And isn't that a sad thing? That if you was to live your life and get into your 70s and 80s and you didn't tap into your legacy or your potential or your purpose, and you have to take your last breath knowing that you lived a lie. So I love that story, how Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I bought the book, the death of Ivan. I can't say the surname, but anyway, yeah, it's a really good story.
Yeah, I'll put it in the notes for people to see afterwards. If you just, when you do remember, let me know and I'll put it in there. But it sounds...
I'll go through my thing. It's a fantastic, and just watch The Shift. Watch The Shift on YouTube, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he talks about it, and he talks about how it profoundly affected him when he was 19. And he just said to himself, Dr. Wayne Dyer said, Wayne, don't die with your music inside you. This is what he said, Dr. Wayne Dyer. It inspired him that much. He thought, I'm not dying with my music. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Not to die with your music inside you, which is your purpose. I think it's absolutely sacrilege for anybody to die with their music inside them. You know, you've got to let that stuff out, dude.
It's given me an image just now as you were talking. It's basically like we have almost a record player inside us, and we're always there. Like there's a play button and a stop button, and we're always thinking, shall I press play? Shall I do it? Shall I do it? And then you're like, oh, everyone's looking. Oh, what if they listen to me? What if it's too loud? I don't know. I need to control the volume. Then they press play when they're younger, and then they press stop because they get older, and all these things start coming to them. All these outside distractions, you know, from friends, from family, from perceptions of what the workplace thinks of them, and all these silly things. And so it just stops you from pressing play. And that's exactly the picture that came to mind as you were talking. And it's so true. And that's not what that's what I'm passionate about, is because that legacy will only happen if you press play. You need the courage to press play and to figure out when to press play. You know, you need to be conscious that the play button is there first of all, and then you need the courage to press it and let it play on. Don't press stop. Because I was listening to a talk by Les Brown, I think it was, and he was, I think he was mentored, or he was reading the books of Howard Thurman, who was a famous doctor back in the day, and he said, look, when you die, your talents, your abilities, your gifts will be surrounding you, and they'll say, we came to you. Only you could have given us life. And when he said that, I was like, wow, like goosebumps went through my whole body, because I thought those gifts and talents were only literally given to you. What was the point of you being born if everyone has the kindness matters idea? Like Steve Jobs, for example, he took Apple from basically nothing into a legendary brand, but only he could have done that whilst he was alive. He was given that power to do it. If John Doe down the road was given that idea, he may not have executed on it the same way Steve Jobs had. In the same way with you, you know, with Kindness Matters, John Magee is the person to execute it, to make it into a global brand. If someone else was given the idea, they may not have been able to do it. But you don't want to die and then hear Kindness Matters whispering to you saying, why did you not push me across the world? Why did you not share my message? Now I'm going to have to be silent forever. And that's what drives me, because everyone has that thing, that community or that idea or that gift or that ability that they just need to push out into the world. You don't want it to die with you, because you don't know if there's another life after this. So
no, we don't. It's the thing nobody knows.
Exactly. So just to get into the last few questions, because I know we're running out of time here.
Yeah, I'm battery. I've got 4%, dude.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up.
The consequence.
Yeah. But if you were to go back to your 18-year-old self with all the knowledge and the abilities that you've got now and the self-awareness, what would you tell him?
Back to my 18-year-old self, I would say to that person that your past does not determine your future. It's what you do in that present moment.
Yeah, that whole opens up a whole can of worms. I won't go into it because all we have is the now. But if you were to say something to your great grandchildren from today, if you were to write something in a time capsule for them to read, what is it that you would say to them?
I've already wrote it because I've got them in my journals. I've already wrote it. And my mission for all my future descendants and my children is to live with an attitude of I live to give and to be service to humanity, and whatever that means to them. So I want them to create something that is going to support the future generations of our planet, and that includes everybody, not just a few, everybody. So yeah, so our attitude as Magees in our family is we all live to be of service. I think, you know, in all the great books, I think it was Jesus or the Apostle Paul said, there's more happiness in giving than receiving, and I truly believe that. So that is my legacy for my children and all my family, all my Magees, is to live with an attitude of I live to give and to be of service to others and to leave something behind for the future. And that's what's in all my journals. So when I die, they'll get all my books, and then they know where my head's at. Nobody gets to see them, only me. And they'll go, bloody hell, that's what my dad were up to. That's what he was doing. That's what he was doing. He's a little clever man, eh? But I'll be off.
Yeah, that's powerful. And it leads me to the last question, the ultimate question. I think we've spoken about it already, but you know, you're 90 years old now. John Magee's looking back at his life. What do you want your life to look like? What is the legacy message you want to leave behind?
I want to, I just want to be remembered as a human being that was for the people. I just want to be remembered as a person that, you know, was for the people, and that helped human beings understand that kindness matters, and that, you know, we're all the same. We're all just one. We're all one love, man. That's all I'd like to do. I'd like to sit on I'd be on my deathbed. I would give thanks. I'd be so grateful. I would take my last breath gratefully, knowing that the job has been done, and I will give thanks that I'd been given that opportunity to do this for humanity. I would die with a grateful heart.
Amazing. This conversation, I think, can go on for a good few more excuse me, a good few more hours. But it's been an amazing conversation, and thank you so much for taking the time out. I think people are really going to enjoy this episode, and I definitely look forward to having you on again sometime.
Yeah, definitely, Vipul. You know, I'm there to support you and your community. You know, you're a very kind person yourself. You are a kindness ambassador. You know, we've become good friends since last year. You know, I'm more than happy to support you in any way, shape or form. I've already been spreading the word to my USA audience. Some fantastic, you know, like I said, I'd like to give a shout out. Can I give a shout out actually to a few people?
Go for it.
I'd like to give a shout out to Amberley Lego from the States. So
she's amazing.
Yeah. Leon Logothetis from the Kindness Diaries. Obviously, Hal Elrod from the Miracle Morning, and Tiffany Swinehart, his executive assistant. John Berghoff, Nathan Chan, Dan Norris, David Hobson, Mike Koala from Social Quant. All these people have been so supportive to me. I've never met these in person, as you and I has never met in person, but we've all supported ourselves. You know, Arthur Luke, who's my branding expert. You know, the world famous. If it wasn't for Arthur, we wouldn't have Kindness Matters, the brand, the colours for the book that really get people, you know, going. All these amazing people I've met over the last 5 years, you know, these are instrumental in the background. It's not just all down to me. I'm very blessed to have a lot of people around me that believe that kindness matters, and, you know, spreading this very powerful message to help people understand, you know, the consequences of their actions and making the right choices when it comes to being kind to themselves and, more importantly, to others. So, yeah, I'm very grateful, mate. Thanks for allowing me to give them shouts out.
No problem. Thanks so much, John, and I look forward to the next time we speak. Take care, brother.
Thank you for your kindness, brother.